guys, what's up? It's really hot in here. Today I'm going to be talking about a very heavy topic, which is depression and suicide. This is something that I think is very important and needs to be talked about, and that's why I'm making a video. I made a video about a year ago and I posted it, and it just wasn't good. I wasn't exactly in the best place to be preaching about recovery, and I wanted to do it again. I wasn't planning on making this video now, but I saw an article about Logic speaking on survivor's guilt, and there have been, I think, 3 suicides within the past 2 weeks or so, and I just think it's really important to do. It gives me a lot of anxiety just kind of doing it on a whim, but it's something that needs to be talked about, and it really doesn't matter how I look or what the presentation is, because the message is what is important. Well, I was actually writing out a bit of my story for this video. I just didn't know when I wanted to film it. Today I'm just going to be telling my story about depression and suicidal thoughts and all of that fun stuff. So for me, it started in 7th grade, so I was about 12 years old. Yeah, 12. I had a lot going for me. I was on my dance studio's competitive dance team, and you know, we were doing well, not gonna lie. We were getting some first place trophies. So on paper, everything should be good for me. I have always been more passive. Growing up, I was a lot more passive, and I was pretty shy, and my poor high school friends have realized that I'm not that way anymore. I was just extremely unhappy in general. I felt like I didn't have a voice in my family. I really didn't feel like I fit in with my friends a lot. I just wasn't happy with myself, and I didn't know why. I remember though, I was in English class and I was just looking out the window and I was like, I don't want to be alive. Like, I'm just not happy. And I think what was most frustrating was I didn't know why, and that I was 12 years old, so I felt very alone. It got worse going into 8th grade. In 8th grade, I missed over a month of school due to, I have type 1 diabetes. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 10, after my 10th birthday, and now I realize that a lot of that has to do with my depression, but at the time I didn't know that. It started to get worse in 8th grade. I was still competitively dancing, but my grades started to slip because I was missing so much school because of diabetes, and I started to also realize later that a lot of it was my anxiety. My anxiety affects my blood sugar a lot. So if I'm really, really anxious, like I'm very anxious right now, my cheeks are starting to get red, I get very hot and my blood sugar starts to go up. It's not like I was stupid or anything, I couldn't go to school because I was always really, really sick. 8th grade was really where I started to go downhill. I started developing OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. There's a lot of stigma about that in, you know, social media and film and TV and all that stuff. I'm not gonna go into it because I'll make a different video about that. I started getting very, very depressed, and something I've never really talked about. A couple of my friends know, but not many. That's when I started to struggle with self-harming myself. That's when I started to struggle with self-harm. It was a way to punish myself for being who I was because I hated myself. Not something I condone in any regard, but it's a coping skill, but it's definitely a negative coping skill. But I think that's very important to talk about because I know a lot of people that struggle with depression also struggle with self-harming. Freshman year was really where it started to reach a head. I still didn't really feel like I had a voice in my family and or with my friends. I just didn't really feel like I belonged. And looking back on it now, I think a lot of that was probably the depression talking, but I think a lot of it is also situational. I hadn't told anyone what I was struggling with, so I was dealing with it by myself for 2, almost 3 years. Times I would put on this front or like this masquerade. Yo, are you trying to say mask or something? Because you're not anywhere close to it. It wasn't. God, why is everyone, I swear to God, everyone in my house, it's like my dad will be on like in the kitchen, my mom will be like in the living room, and they're like trying to shout to each other. Anyways, depression was really hard to manage by myself. I was crying myself to sleep every night. I was really struggling with school, keeping up with it, because a lot of times I would be doing homework for like 4 hours after school. So I go to school for 8 hours and I'd come home and I'd do like 4 hours of homework on top of, I was in Orchesis, which was my school's dance company, and I was dancing at my studio. In the spring of my freshman year, I finally broke down to my mom. I started off with saying I think I have OCD because that was just easier for me. And when we were at the doctor, I said, I think I also am struggling with depression. And my mom was like, that's okay. I have too most of my life. We're gonna get you help. We're gonna get you a therapist. It's gonna be okay. So telling her was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, because I needed to tell someone, and I felt like I was kind of drowning. So that's when I first started seeing a therapist. So she turned out not to be the one, because she wanted to have a therapy session at Starbucks. So, I'm over here sipping my Frappuccino going, yeah, I kind of want to die. And Bob over there is freaking doing finances on his computer, and he's like, the hell is going on? So the story about that is that sometimes it takes a second to find someone that you like talking to, someone that works for you. Not works for you, but, works. Moving on. Trying to have a meaningful video, and my freaking phone keeps falling. After telling my mom, that relieved a lot of stress off of me, because I started taking medication. I started off with Zoloft, and it worked really well for me. So sophomore year was a lot better. I wasn't taking as many classes. I was taking more electives. So I was in choir and I was in acting, like the acting program at my school, which was something I really wanted to do. I lost a ton of weight. Maybe I'll insert a picture, but you won't understand because you didn't know what I looked like before. It was probably a little unhealthy because I would skip meals, and I was just focusing on exercising. I would go running with my best friend every day, and I was getting into a good groove. I was in Orchesis, which is my school's dance company. I had a couple solos. I auditioned for one of the plays at my high school, and it's very competitive. I got one of the roles in the show. There were 6 of us. It was called It Could Be Any One of Us. Murder mystery. Sophomore year was just a lot better, and I was just doing really well until the Zoloft stopped working. I was trying to remember the order of all the medications I've tried, because I've tried almost all of the SSRIs, which are a story for another time, because I haven't prepared myself to talk about the scientific side of it. I started to make new friends, and I got a new friend group. Well, not a new friend group, but my friend group mixed with another friend group, and it was awesome. It was just really great. So I thought, junior year, this is my year. The way I'm setting this up, you probably got the sense that junior year was not my year. Junior year was probably my worst year of my life. I had all of these good things in my life. I got into my school's show choir, which I'd been trying to for 2 years, and I was so excited about that. And that was a huge support system for me. So I had that going for me. I was going to go on a traveling abroad trip with my school for spring break. So I was I had a lot to look forward to, but I still was unhappy. I remember I just wasn't happy, and I didn't know why, because I had all of these lined up for all these things lining up for me, but I was very unhappy. I woke up one night in a lot of pain. I had a stomach ache, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm bloated, I'm gonna get my period, something like that. It started to increasingly get worse. It was probably 5 a.m, so by 6, there was an issue. I knew there was something wrong. I woke my dad up, and I was like, my stomach really hurts, the left side of my stomach really hurts. And he was like, okay, let me get your mom. By the time he was going down to get my mom, it was like someone was stabbing me, repeatedly stabbing me in my stomach. I started screaming, and I was calling my mom and my dad's name. I was feeling like I was gonna throw up, and I couldn't move. I was crawling to the bathroom. I was crying, and I don't cry in front of people ever if I can help it. I hate crying in general, but especially in front of people. So the fact that I was crying over this pain was concerning to my parents. My mom called 911 and an ambulance came, and they had to lift me, carry me out of my house because I was in so much pain. I thought it was appendicitis, so yeah, I was in a lot of pain, but I wasn't all too concerned. And then in the ambulance, I passed out from the pain, so I don't know, I think they gave me Novocaine or something very strong, and I woke back up, got taken to the emergency room, the closest to where I live, and they admitted me into the emergency area. I don't know, I was on a stretcher. They thought maybe that my intestines were kind of wrapped around each other and that was causing the pain, or appendicitis, and they did an ultrasound, and that's when they found kidney stones. They think that I passed it in the emergency room, which was why it was so painful, because it was coming down. So that was threw me for a loop, because I was I'd literally only heard of kidney stones for older people, and so I was very, very confused. They say that kidney stones are the worst pain over childbirth. So let me tell you, I'm contemplating whether or not I want to do that shit again. So that was in the fall the fall winter going into 2017. I missed a bunch of school from that as well, and it was just it was a mess. After that, things just kept going downhill. I started off 2017 getting into an argument with my boyfriend. So happy 2017. He ended up breaking up with me on Valentine's Day. I'm over it now. Obviously, I still think he's a great person. I just don't think it was our timing, the proper timing. I don't know. So that really sucked. My depression started getting worse. I went on this trip to France. It was incredible. It was so fun. I met two of my best friends there. But when I got back, I was hit by all of this shit. The day after I got back, my rabbit died. I could tell something was wrong with him, and I couldn't tell what it was. So I just told my mom, I was there's something wrong with him. I was holding him in my arms. We didn't have time to get his cage or anything, or his crate thing. And we were driving to the hospital, and his breathing was very labored, and I was saying to my mom, I was he's gonna die. I think he's dying right now. We took him to the vet, but it was what is the point? He's dead. So he died in my arms. Then after that, a couple days later, my parents told me they were separating, and that was kind of when I lost my shit. I just broke down to my mom. Just broke down, and I was I can't do this. Just said, I don't want to be alive, I wish I was dead. So my parents were very worried about leaving me in a room by myself, alone. Yeah, that's how you say that. I didn't trust myself in a room by myself either. The next day I got checked into a partial, oh God, I haven't said this in a while. I got checked into a partial patient hospitalization program. It's a tongue twister. Try saying that 5 times. That was for adolescents with anxiety and depression, because at that point I had just turned 17. Getting checked into that program was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, because it changed my life and I needed help changing my life. So my experience in the hospitalization program is something I could make a different video about. I don't know if anyone cares. But basically, it was every day they would take your phone, your shoes, or they wouldn't take your shoes, but they would take your phone. You had to take off your shoes so that they could make sure you didn't have anything to harm yourself in your shoes. They made you turn out your pockets. You weren't allowed to wear a jacket. What else? Your school supplies were checked and had to be double checked by the school helper person. When you would go to the bathroom, a staff had to stand in the bathroom with you. I went through that entire program, which was over a month. I think it was probably 6 or 7 weeks maybe, and I was not in school. I had no desire to go back to school. Knowing from what I know now, the program was not the best for those who are depressed, because they focused a lot on anxiety, which at the time I was not struggling with. After the program, I learned about all those good coping skills. My coping bag, 4-square breathing. It had to discharge me because I had already been through the program for a while, and it was getting to the point where we'd learn, I don't even remember what they were called, like coping skills Tuesday or some shit. And I was getting to the point where they would have me teach the class because I already knew so much about it. They discharged me. I was still very depressed, but I was ready to go back to school. And at this point it was May, so it was the end of the school year. I had 3 weeks left probably, and I was just left to make up all of this work. At the time, I just turned 17, so I didn't know how to advocate for myself, and I didn't know how to explain what I'd been through because I was really ashamed. I was so ashamed that I was struggling with suicidal thoughts. I was so ashamed that I was struggling with depression because here I was, this like bubbly, like, you know, musical child that wanted to kill herself.
I can't really do that hair thing very well.
No, that's cute.
Looks like a mess.
Do the other way because that's the way your hair goes.
Right, here we go again. This is which time around is this now?
This is the third or fourth time.
Third or fourth?
I felt really ashamed. Even though I was discharged, I still really didn't hang out with my friends a ton, which is something that they've like told me. They were like, we didn't know why you like weren't hanging out with anyone. And I was like, well, see, let me tell you my story. So the summer going into senior year was incredible. It was so fun. Like, that was one of the best summers of my life. I met 2 of my best friends at the time on the trip. One of my best friends who I'm still best friends with. My other friend who we ended up dating, we were together for a bit going into senior year and then through the first semester of senior year. I was still very depressed, and I still put a lot of my happiness on my boyfriend and on my friends. I kind of leaned on them to make me happy, which was extremely unfair, especially to my boyfriend. It shouldn't be his job to make me happy or to make me not feel suicidal. That's not his issue. Not that he felt that way, but it was just a lot to put on someone. And that's something that I realized now after going through a lot of therapy and figuring my shit out. Then we broke up in December. I was going back through all of the things that I had before, where I was just constantly comparing myself to other people, and I was just very, very unhappy. I met one of my best friends who I ended up still being friends with. She really kind of carried me through senior year, at least she carried me through 2018, along with, my other best friend. I have a lot of really good friends who supported me. I mean, I can't thank my friends enough because I would have been a goner otherwise. That's when I was still struggling with self-harm. I kind of relapsed. That was something I was really ashamed about too, because here I was posting on social media about oh, you need to get help, if you need to get help, it's okay, blah, 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 you'll make your way to recovery. Meanwhile, I was, still self-harming. I felt kind of like a fraud. Had I not been ashamed, I would have been able to be on the path of recovery a lot quicker. I was on the journey of the SSRIs. None of them worked for me, but that doesn't mean that they won't work for you. Everyone is so different. So yeah. Then April and May were really, really good. I expanded my friend group. I graduated high school. I was doing all right, I suppose, but I really didn't start to actually love myself and feel comfortable with myself until probably this January. It was the first time that I'd really been single for a stretch of time. I was focusing on my work. I was interning at a casting agency. I made a video about it. And so that internship lasted from September of 2018 to January 2019. I was focusing on that. I was able to go on a shoot, which I'll be posting a vlog of probably. I was able to do freelance work, helping with auditions and castings. So I was really, really happy with myself and proud of myself and how how far I've come. The reason I wanted to wait to make this video is because I am actually in a place now where I can genuinely say I don't feel suicidal, and I'm really, really lucky to still be alive. I'll just kind of leave it there because I think I've been filming for 50 minutes. I'll probably cut this down a little bit, but I want to keep it as genuine as possible, but again, I ramble and I ramble. But I wanted to talk about this because of, the frequent recent suicide. Suicide is the leading death of, I want to say it's 14 to 20 something year olds. I could be wrong, but it's a huge issue. I'm so beyond lucky that I'm alive, and I mean I can't explain it because it is so insane. I had suicidal thoughts on and off for 4 or 5 years, basically my entire high school career. It was really difficult. It was very difficult, but I'm so happy that I'm alive because now I'm getting into my own, rhythm, and I'm doing what I love, and I better appreciate being alive because I've had multiple moments where I didn't think I would be alive anymore. But yeah, I think that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helped anyone, even if it didn't. I hope it was interesting, maybe. I don't know. But yeah. Okay, bye.